A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit! He stumbles! He's down!
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
What a wild football weekend. Yeah, the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, but all four of those games had some crazy stuff going on in them. I am Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on a Monday night. We're going to review the entire football weekend, and as promised, we always have Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us at 6:20 each day after the NFL weekend. And, of course, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973 on the text board. Your feelings, thoughts, reactions, Eagles versus 49ers in the NFC Championship game next Sunday. You can hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Tell me what you think also on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Let's get the Eagles game stuff out of the way first, and then we'll get to the other three games, because the Eagles game is probably the easiest to explain of what happened, because the Eagles game in many ways came down to one thing and one thing alone, and that is, it really just came down to Eagles are the better team. And I think the Giants might have not fully understood the concept of styles make fights. I think the Giants' style of play was more of a problem for the Vikings than most teams. And so as a result, the Vikings went into that game not really having an answer for what the Giants do per se. And because the Vikings are arguably the worst defense of all the playoff teams this year, it made that game easier for the Giants to expose them. Flip the script to the next weekend when you're playing the Eagles and you realize, if you're the Giants, that what you were able to do so well against the Minnesota Vikings, you couldn't do against the Eagles, because the Eagles had the better defense, the better athletes, the better talent on both sides of the ball. And realistically, if you break down the entire Vikings roster, there might be only three guys who start for the Vikings who would start for the Eagles, right? Like it would be Justin Jefferson. None of their offensive linemen are starting over the Eagles' O-linemen, right? I mean, would you take Dalvin Cook over Miles Sanders? I don't know. Maybe you would take Patrick Peterson in your secondary and put him in the slot and kick CJ Gardner-Johnson back to the secondary. There's not a lot of guys on Minnesota you would take on the Eagles right now as currently constructed. So you went from going against a team with lesser talent to a team with more talent. That was the first thing that happened on Saturday night. The second thing is the Eagles were not afraid to let Jalen be Jalen. I think that was a huge part of that game. There was a huge part of that game where you are watching it and you realize that Jalen Hurts, he may or may not be still sore. He may or may not be hurting. And there was that one play where he got up and he looked like he was wincing in pain. But the Eagles never let Lane Johnson or Jalen Hurts' injuries impact the way they played the game of football. And like I said, I think that's a huge part of the game on Saturday night. The Eagles said, we have a game plan. We're going to go out and execute, and we're going to beat you. And I think that for the Eagles, it was a great warm-up game, because now the Eagles are in the same boat as the Giants. Because now the Eagles go from a team with not a lot of talent to a team with a ton of talent. They go from a team that had a solid offensive line to a good offensive line. A team with a solid D-line to a great D-line. You go from a team with okay linebackers to really good linebackers. You could argue, actually, that the 49ers are the best linebacker core in the entire NFL. This is also the battle of the coaching candidates. I don't know if any of you saw the news today, but according to Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, he says the two leading candidates for the Houston Texans job are DeMeco Ryans and Jonathan Gannon. Well, they're going head-to-head. They're going head-to-head, yeah, this Sunday. I mean, does the winner of the game keep coaching and the loser go become the Houston coach? I don't know how that happens. Of course, I don't understand why anybody wants the Houston Texans job unless you're that desperate to be a head coach. But outside of that, I'm personally not a fan of that structure. Okay. I wouldn't go to Houston if I was somebody, but back to the Eagles and the 49ers. I think this is first look. This game's going to be defined in the trenches. This game is going to be defined by whose O-line and whose D-line is going to win. I think there's a lot of people who are downplaying the 49ers because of their schedule. And I think those are the same people who have probably at some point or another downplayed the Eagles' schedule. Look, I don't want to hear about how someone's got a better or worse schedule than somebody else. This is the NFL. This isn't college football. College football, the reason why schedule matters is because in college football, there's not the same amount of parity that there is in the NFL. In college football, you can have a team like Alabama, go 12-0, and their 12-0 looks a lot better than a team like, let's say, Boise State. Because Boise State's level of competition in their conference and on their schedule is way less than what the Alabama is each and every week. Alabama will play, if they're playing 12 games, they're probably playing 7 or 8 teams with NFL talent, up and down the roster. Boise State might play 3 teams in a 12-game schedule with that same roster. The NFL is not like that. The NFL, every single week, you're playing elite talent. You're playing the best of the best. The Kansas City Chiefs are in the AFC Championship game. And they lost to the Colts this year. They got taken to overtime by the Houston Texans. And they lost to a Bills team that just lost to the Bengals at home in the snow with DeMar Hamlin. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. If you lose that game, if you're Buffalo and DeMar Hamlin is there and he speaks to the team and you're at home and the crowd is going wild. I mean, Bills Mafia is arguably one of the 3 or 4 best fan bases in all of football. And their team let them down horribly on Sunday. I mean, I picked the Bengals to win, but I thought it'd be a close game. I thought it might be like, 35-30, Josh Allen and Joe Burrow going back and forth. Great game down the stretch. And instead, one quarterback showed up and the other quarterback didn't. And it makes you appreciate Jalen Hurts even more because Hurts is banged up. He's not healthy. And he went out there and still played like an MVP candidate. And Josh Allen went out there and looked like he's missing Brian Dable as his coach. What other explanation do you have? Josh Allen has turned into a turnover machine. Me and Andy McNamara told you on Friday to take the over on the interceptions on Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen. And guess what? They both hit. Why? Because Josh Allen is being asked to save his team, and his team is not helping him win football games consistently. You knew that the Bengals were going to be able to score on the Bills defense. The Bills defense is not elite. It doesn't have a great array of talent. They have some really good players at specific positions. The Bengals have more talent on their defense. So you knew it was going to be the Bengals scoring points. So the pressure was on Buffalo to find a way to score and score consistently. And frankly, Lou Amarillo, the Bengals defensive coordinator, outcoached the Bills offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey should be embarrassed of himself after that game yesterday. Now, speaking of embarrassments, Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. I don't know what you do with the Cowboys 49ers game if you don't want to give credit to the defenses and blame the offenses. I heard somebody else bring this up earlier on a different show, and I wish I could remember what show it was because I was flipping different channels this morning. But maybe at some point, Dallas needs to get rid of Kellen Moore. You know, you saw what changing a coach did, how it helped Daniel Jones. You saw how having the right coach in Jalen Hurts' ear mattered in Philadelphia. You saw in many different circumstances, the coach mattered for Baker Mayfield just this year. Baker Mayfield was on his third coach calling plays in his ear this calendar year, this season, and he was way better with Sean McVay than the previous two guys. Maybe, just maybe, the problem for Dak is that he needs a coach who's going to help elevate him because he himself is not capable of elevating. Because the problem was in the Cowboys defense. I told you guys going into the weekend, the Cowboys have one of the 3 or 4 best defenses in the NFL. If you were coming into this postseason saying, rank me the defenses, I mean, I'm probably going 49ers 1, Eagles 2, Cowboys 3, Bengals 4. You can rearrange them however you want. The Cowboys defense showed up yesterday. You got to give them a ton of credit for limiting a 49ers team that has a ton of talent and a really good offensive line. But their offense let them down. And at some point, maybe we got to start blaming McCarthy. Maybe McCarthy isn't the problem. Listen, I have not been a McCarthy fan. I do not believe in the guy. I think he's, I don't think the players like him that much. But you know what? What I do think is interesting is maybe Kellen Moore is part of the problem. Maybe Kellen Moore is not the right coach for Dak Prescott, just like Brian Daboll was so perfect opposite way for Josh Allen. You know, maybe Josh Allen needs a different coach. Let's squeeze some text in before we get to the break. 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Joey D. Inventor says, it was a great team win, total domination, all fronts for the Eagles, the offensive line and coaching staff get the game ball for me. Also, so sweet to watch the Cowboys lose again with Dak looking so bad. Go Birds. It's Joey D. Inventor. You know, Joey D., I put the tweet out on my Twitter at Josh Hennig earlier today. So they mentioned on NFL Network today that the Dallas Cowboys have lost in the playoffs for 27 straight years. 27 straight years, they have not reached the conference championship. In that time period, here are the teams that have reached multiple conference championships. Packers 8, Eagles 7, 49ers 7, Rams 4, Falcons 4, Vikings 4, Giants 3, Panthers 3, Bucks 3, Seahawks 3. All of those teams are better than America's team. So yes, there is a part of all of us that looks at the Cowboys and just chuckles because we realize that the organization is a dumpster fire and Jerry Jones has tried so hard to prove that he's a football guy, he's a football genius and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, all of his rings, all of his championships are thanks to Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson has a stress-free life on television, making big money, and Jerry Jones is a billionaire, and he's miserable right now. Coming up next, talk more NFL with Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press. And then more of your texts a little bit later in the hour. Jay in Atlantic City. Also, we will get to Paul in Millville, all your messages. and more. Still to come here on Game Night with me, Josh Hennig, on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
He's in the right circle. He scores! On the power play.
It's Flyers Kings tomorrow. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Right now, you can get free carpet installation from the Home Depot. So while we're putting in your new carpet, you'll have more time to take care of the lawn. Get started on dinner. Or just lay down and relax on your new carpet after it's installed. Get your free carpet installation started with the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Minimum purchase of $4.99. Exclusions apply. U.S. only. See store for details.
When you want experience, go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence.
Here's a tip from Dennisville Fence. When is the busiest and most difficult time of year to hire any contractor? Naturally, it's the spring and summer months. We suggest you beat the rush and start now. Get the attention you deserve and take advantage of the best pricing of the year. Winter is here and it's getting cold, but the ground isn't frozen, and we are installing a new fence for your neighbor in a few days. Are you getting a new pool this spring? Don't say you weren't reminded. Call 1-800-499-FENCE today to learn about our new line of privacy, decorative, security, and pool fencing by ActiveGuard. Dennisville Fence has the largest inventory and best prices in South Jersey, and we can deliver your new ActiveGuard's fence directly to your home or job site. Buy local. Dennisville Fence will match all competitors and online pricing. Call 1-800-499-FENCE or go to DennisvilleFence.com to request an estimate.
Go with experience. Go for the best. Pick up the phone and call Dennisville Fence. 1-800-499-FENCE. Visit DennisvilleFence.com.
Straight Talk Wireless knows there are plenty of reasons you might need a new phone. But switching to a better wireless provider doesn't have to be one of them. Keep your own phone and save when you switch to any Straight Talk Wireless plan, like our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with unlimited high-speed data and 5 gigs of hotspot, plus nationwide 5G. Keep your own phone. Switch to a better wireless plan. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. Requires a compatible unlocked phone and KYOP kit. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See latest terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
They say they'll get you your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money. So forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter to win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends April 2nd, 2023. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette.
It's back! By popular demand, Bennett Chevrolet has brought back GM supplier employee pricing for everyone. That's right. Get to Bennett now. Pick out your new Chevy, and you'll pay what our supplier employees pay, and not one penny more. This is truly amazing, because other dealers are still charging MSRP or more. But Bennett isn't like most dealers. We've got GM supplier employee pricing for everyone on your new Chevy. Think about how much you'll save with Bennett when you pay GM supplier employee pricing compared to the other dealers charging MSRP and above. Plus, Plus, with rates as low as 2.99%, you'll save even more. And we're still paying record prices for trades towards any pre-owned in stock. Right now, get a minimum $7,000, even if your trade is total junk. Yes, at least $7,000. Imagine how much we'll pay for a trade that actually runs. And wait till you deal with our non-commissioned sales team. They're paid based on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. One call does it all. Be like 97.3 ESPN and trust Jenkins. We need to make our studio comfortable. That's who we called, and you should too. Call Jenkins for leaks, stoppages, and renovations. Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. Call 609-641-6262. Visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. The championship games are set, and interestingly enough, you actually see that 3 of the 5 best defenses in the NFL are in that final group. So get to all of that and more joining us each week as he does. Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press checks in with us as the NFL is down to the final 4. Rob, welcome back into the show. How you doing?
What's up, Josh? How are you, man? Yeah, we're down to the final 4, almost Super Bowl week.
Before we get to the final 4 matchups, I want to ask you a couple questions about the game. Let's start with the Eagles and get that over with. For you, what was the most impressive part of that game? Because a lot of people are saying, domination and all these different things. For you watching that game, what stood out the most?
I think it was something that we knew all along is the Eagles' offensive line is the best in football, and they controlled that game. They completely dominated that game start to finish and allowed them to be able to have the success that they did. Gave Jalen enough time to sit in the pocket, be comfortable, make the passes that he needed to make. Obviously paved the way for 268 rushing yards on the ground, and it starts up front for the Eagles. That offensive line is just incredibly talented, tough. When you see Lane Johnson playing through what he played through, tough, smart. When you see what Jason Kelsey's able to do, there's so much built off of that offensive line, and it filters through. They got talent at the skill positions. They got talent under center in Jalen Hurts, and this is a team that has shown this all year long, and it showed up in that moment. It showed up in the first playoff game for these guys after getting the bye and after getting the number 1 seed. What got them there carried them through, and then defensively they dominated. And of course you look at Jalen, his shoulder. It's good to know that shoulder's not going to be a problem area. I'm sure he's limited somewhat in some of the things that he's hoping to be able to do, but he's getting more comfortable. Man, I couldn't be more impressed with that Eagles win.
For you, when you look at this upcoming matchup, to me, what stands out, Rob, is the defense. And it's not just because both D'Amico Ryans and Jonathan Gann are leading candidates for the Houston Texans job. It's because you look at the talent on both of those defenses. I'm getting the feeling right now. I mean, I know it's only Monday, but my initial feeling, Rob, is this is going to be a grinded out slugfest this coming Sunday.
Yeah, I look at a old school, 2 physical teams, the top 2 defenses in the NFL, and then also 2 teams that can run the football. And this is a game that could be that kind of 80s, 90s brand football. Yet, right, Josh, we say that, and the defenses are so good, but there's firepower on the offensive side. Jalen Hurts and all of the things that he can do, Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, A.J. Brown, Devontae, you name the Eagles skill players and playmakers, and then on the other side, the San Francisco 49ers, they got Christian McCaffrey, they got Deebo Samuel, they got Brandon Ayuk, they got George Kittle. There are a ton of playmakers on both sides, and 2 extremely talented, well-coached defenses. This is going to be a phenomenal game. And I don't know if it's going to be under. I don't know if it's going to be over. Like, something's got to give, Josh. The one thing I feel comfortable about, it's going to be a close game. I would be totally surprised if either team routed the other team. I don't see a blowout. I see a down-to-the-wire close game.
I mentioned the coaches earlier. How much are you putting coaching into this conversation? Because Kyle Shanahan's been here and done this multiple times now. And listen, Sirianni, Steichen, and Gannon, they've had a good run. They've had a great year, right? But this is their first time going into these waters, whereas guys like Shanahan and his staff, they've been here, done that.
Yeah, it's got to help, right? That certainly's got to help. The fact that Shanahan's been there, he's been to it a few times too, not just as a head coach. We know he was the offensive coordinator in the greatest Super Bowl collapse 28-3 with the Atlanta Falcons against the Patriots back several years ago. So he's gone through this. He's experienced it. But when you look at the Eagles, you look at the swag that Nick Sirianni has, you look at the system that he had. Maybe it was Tony Romo yesterday. I think it was Romo as he was previewing the NFC for whatever reason. He does the AFC. He's like, they have an unstoppable system. It really is. Like, you look at the system, the design, the play calls, the scheme, all of that from the Eagles offensive standpoint, it's extremely impressive. So, I think what can counter the experience of the 49ers coaching staff, the link and those fans, that can counter that. Like, the Eagles may be at a slight disadvantage because the San Francisco 49ers coaching staff has more experience, but you got 70,000 plus screaming rowdy fans at the link that are going to make life miserable on Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers for as much as they can throughout the game. And this may be, Josh, the first time that Brock Purdy, the rookie third-string quarterback, last pick in the draft, it shows up. Like, there may be finally, he's 7-0. He's been flawless. He's been showed tremendous poise. That rowdy crowd at the link and this Eagles defense may finally make him look, and all it takes is one or two plays, look like a rookie.
Rob Maaddi from the Associated Press joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, at Rob Maaddi on Twitter. Let's go to the team that lost to the 49ers. Listen, I thought the Cowboys defense was great yesterday. They came out there and did their job. It's the offense that is the problem. And I wish I could remember who first said it this morning, or I would give them credit, but someone else mentioned, maybe the problem in Dallas is the offense coordinator. Maybe Kellen Moore isn't the right guy in Dak's ear. And the reason I say that, Rob, is because you see what's happened to Josh Allen now that Brian Daboll is no longer in his ear with all the interceptions. You have to wonder, how important is it for some of these quarterbacks? Look at Baker Mayfield. In 1 year, he has one coordinator in his ear. He goes to Los Angeles. All of a sudden, it looks like a first overall pick again with Sean McVay, right? Could it be the problem for Dak isn't as much Dak as much as it is the guy in his ear?
Coaching matters, Josh. Coaching matters. And it's funny how guys can fall off that top of the slope so quickly. We were all talking about Kellen Moore. Maybe last year was a hot name for a coaching opportunity. Byron Leftwich, we saw him in Tampa Bay for 2 years, was a hot name as a head coach, and he gets fired. And Kellen Moore, suddenly the team struggles, and Dak Prescott has a turnover-prone second half of the season. That's really uncharacteristic of Dak. That's not who Dak has been throughout his career. And I think that's where it shows up, where some of these guys, when you've had success and all of a sudden you're struggling for some reason or another, that coaching shows up. Coaching matters, and that could be part of the problem. But I also think, Dak made some plays, made some throws that I can't fault Kellen Moore for that, man. Some of those throws, some of those plays, some of those decisions, that's all on the quarterback. That's all on Dak. And I don't know why it looks like he's pressing, and it looked like he was pressing down the stretch. He had, except for that Tampa game on Monday night, where he was phenomenal. He was outstanding. He's thrown, I think it was 13 picks in the last 8 or 9 games. He had a rough stretch. He had a rough second half, and somebody's got to pay a price for that. And it's not going to be Dak Prescott. And Jerry Jones isn't the most patient of people. And if he's not pulling the plug on Mike McCarthy, somebody else has got to go. And that could very well end up being Kellen Moore. Let's not forget also, though, they gave up Amari Cooper. And while CeeDee Lamb is a solid number 1A type receiver, it hurt them not having another guy there. And I know Michael Gallup is what he is. And T.Y. Hilton came in down a stretch of the season for them, and he performed well, made some big catches on third down, but he's at the tail end of his career. I think they needed another top flight receiver.
I mean, maybe they get in on the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes, for goodness sake.
Yeah, and I wonder what's DeAndre, what does he have left? How much is he got left in the tank to be a top flight, top tier wide receiver? I'm not sure.
I don't know either, but I think him next to CeeDee Lamb looks pretty good if you're the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Yeah, for sure. So did Odell. The thought of Odell, but he clearly wasn't healthy.
That's true.
There's talk. Mike Evans is from Texas. If Tampa Bay opens things up and rebuilding, that's a guy who would be an ideal fit. Also in the Dallas Cowboys offense, stretch the field, and there'll be some options.
By the way, the stat for you, Rob, about the Cowboys. Cowboys have not been to an NFC Championship game in 27 straight years. In that time, the Green Bay Packers have been 8 times, the Eagles now 7, 49ers 7. Well, the Cowboys have been 0. Just a little context for everybody out there who are wondering about the Dallas Cowboys, America's team.
Born, too.
What's that?
In that span, Jalen Hurts was born.
Right, Jalen Hurts was born.
He wasn't even alive the last time they went to.
Yeah, 27 years, and Hurts is what, like 24? Couple other games I want to get to before I let you go, Rob. The Bengals-Bills. I mean, talk about a game that I did not expect that. I mean, I personally picked the Bengals to win, but I thought it'd be like 35-30. I thought it'd be a shootout and back and forth. I mean, what happened? Was the Bengals defense that good? Was the Bills offense that limited? Like, what went wrong yesterday?
Yeah, I finally got an upset special, right? But like you, I thought it'd be a close game. I had it 30-29 Bengals, and I was surprised with the ease of which the Cincinnati Bengals were able to dispatch of the Buffalo Bills. Like, that defense was tremendous. The offensive line that was revamped and then decimated, losing 3/5 of their offensive line, protected Joe Burrow, and it surprised a lot of people by the way they were able to perform in that one. But I think it started with that defense. When you hold Buffalo to Josh Allen and that dynamic group to 10 points, you gotta throw all the flowers you can at their defensive coordinator, at the Bengals defense. And obviously he I don't know if Lou Anarumo's had any interviews yet. There's been talk. He's certainly gonna garner some interest after that performance by his defense. And I was surprised in that Buffalo couldn't generate more offense. And I don't think you can blame the snow. I know they've battled a lot of adversity. I know they've had an emotional roller coaster over the past few weeks, and I think they just ran out of things to draw from, momentum and inspiration. And I know DeMar Hamlin was there in the stadium, but they also look like a team that was limited because they can't run the football. And if you can't run the football effectively, or the threat of you running the football isn't even there, play action isn't going to work. You're going to have to figure out a way to be a team that can move the ball and get some first downs on the ground in January. And it doesn't look like the Buffalo Bills are that team. They rely so heavily on Josh Allen, and that's come back to bite them now 2 years in a row in the postseason.
Your buddy Dan Orlovsky said this morning on Get Up on TV, he said that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes is the best football player in the NFL. Your reaction?
You used to hear that said about guys like, oh, Randall's such a great athlete, or Michael Vick is such a great athlete. Joe Burrow is a phenomenal quarterback. He's so cool under pressure. He's beat Patrick Mahomes 3 times. He's done everything but win a Super Bowl. So while he is maybe number 1A, I still got to go. Yeah, I understand what Dan's saying because Patrick Mahomes can do more skill-wise than Joe Burrow, but he's pretty darn good as a passer, too.
Yes.
Threw for over 5,000 yards. We had 41 touchdowns. He does all these things that make Chris Collinsworth gush every time he does a game. Like, he's overflowing, he's effusive in his praise. It's almost laughable. Like, he's going to be all whatever Patrick Mahomes does. I still say Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, but Joe Burrow's closing in. If he can beat him a fourth time and then go on and win a Super Bowl, all right, then I'll have that conversation.
Speaking of Mahomes, the high ankle sprain is what he's dealing with right there. I mean, how concerned are you, Rob, that, is Mahomes even going to be, well enough to handle him? We know a lot of guys with high ankle sprains. That's not an easy thing to overcome. The low ankle, you'd rather have that than the high ankle.
No doubt, Josh. And for all of those things that he can do, move around in the pocket, run for a first down, escape, you got to think that he's going to be limited. I know he's Superman, and I know he heals different than everybody else. High ankle sprain, a high ankle sprain. And even if it's not, for some guys, they might be down 3 to 6, 4 to 6, 7 to 8, whatever it is. To think that won't have any effect on him, I think is foolish. I think he's going to feel it. I think it's going to bother him in one way, shape, or form. That is going to impact Patrick Mahomes' ability, and it's just a matter of what they can do around him, how well they protect him, how much they need him to scramble, buy some time, create plays, do all of those things that make Patrick Mahomes great. But we saw him afterwards, right? He threw a touchdown off one foot, he threw a touchdown off the other foot. He does what he does. I'm sure he's going to get first-class treatment. Rick Burkholder, who we're all familiar with from his time in Philadelphia with Andy Reid, is one of the best in the business, and he'll do everything he can to have him as close to ready. He won't be 100%. He won't be close to 100% for several weeks now. He'll have to play this game and then the Super Bowl banged up, but I think he can get the job done.
Before I let you go, Rob, I want to ask you of the 4 teams that lost this weekend: Doug Peterson and the Jags, Brian Dable and the Giants, Sean McDermott and the Bills, and then, of course, you have the Cowboys and McCarthy. Which of those situations gets your juices flowing the most for this upcoming offseason?
Which team do I think can have the best bounce back? I love what Doug's building in Jacksonville. Which team might be the newsiest splash maker? Mike McCarthy, Dallas, and Jerry Jones, because Jerry's there, right? And we don't know what he's thinking right now. So I think they're still the Dallas Cowboys, the team that everybody either loves or loves to hate, and I think that they're going to be making headlines one way, shape, or form throughout the offseason. So you got to keep an eye on them. I'm concerned a little bit about the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. It's easy to say, get a run game in there, but then you got to go out and do it and build an offense that can do that. And they can still be, to me, the team to beat in the AFC East. But right now, they're clearly not the top 3 team in the AFC. And then the Giants came on, but they got a quarterback situation that they got to figure out. For as well as Daniel Jones played against the Minnesota Vikings, yeah, he regressed against the Eagles. He looked like the Daniel Jones that everybody was going, he was the first round pick. He's the guy who's going to be the future. They got to figure that out, because I think there's a lot of uncertainty there. As far as the other teams, at least there is no quarterback drama. No matter what Dak did down the stretch, he's still going to be Dallas's guy.
Give him a follow on Twitter at Rob Maaddi. Check out the AP Pro Football Podcast, as well as Faith on the Field, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., the Encore Sunday morning on 97.3 ESPN. And go check out the podcast because your conversation with Riley Patterson was a lot of fun. I was listening on my drive in on Saturday morning. So keep up the great work, Rob.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate it, man. I'll actually be there at the link on Sunday. So let's see if the Birds can do it again.
Hey, we'll hope for the best, prepare for the worst. It's the Philly way, right?
No doubt.
Safe travels, Rob. Take care.
You got it, brother.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN. I got a bunch of texts to get to, so let's hit that break so we can get you all squeezed in on the other side. 609-403-0973. And the text board, DM the show through 97.3 ESPN mobile app as well, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
This is the home for Eagles playoff football. The Eagles host the San Francisco 49ers this Sunday in the NFC Championship Game.
The Philadelphia Eagles have reached the NFC Championship Game.
Pre-game coverage starts at 2 p.m. with all the play-by-play action starting at 3 p.m. This is where the Philadelphia Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Wait, stop the countdown. It's the final days of the Kia Season of Giving Back sales event. So bring any trade to Matt Blatt Kia and drive home in a brand new Kia, even with 0 down and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Don't see your new Kia on the lot today? That does not mean you can't drive it home tomorrow. With peace of mind, Matt Blatt Kia's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. So if you have a job clearing $350 per week at Matt Blatt Kia, you are virtually approved. So why pay more when you can pay 0% with 0 down?
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. 2778 per thousand financed on in-stock 2023 Sorento Hybrid. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 1/31/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 and Tom's River.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
When choosing a wireless provider, you're forced to compromise. But what if you didn't have to? What if you could get reliable service without a contract and save money? Introducing Total by Verizon, a new no-contract, no-credit check carrier for you and your family, with plans starting at just $30 a month on America's most reliable 5G network. Total by Verizon is available at totalbyverizon.com and at retailers nationwide, based on first place rankings and RootMetrics first half 2022 5G assessments of 125 metros. Experiences may vary, not an endorsement.
You've got advanced prostate cancer, but you're not waiting around. You want straight talk, the facts about Orgovix.
Orgovix Relugolix 120 milligram prescription tablets is a treatment for adults with advanced prostate cancer. Fact: Orgovix is a different kind of androgen deprivation therapy treatment, a pill, not an injection. Orgovix may cause serious side effects, including a heart condition called QT prolongation. Tell your doctor right away if you feel dizzy, faint, have a racing or pounding heart, or chest pain. Orgovix can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during treatment and for 2 weeks after Orgovix treatment. The most common side effects include hot flushes, increased blood sugar and blood fat levels, muscle and joint pain, decreased blood hemoglobin levels, increased liver enzymes, tiredness, constipation, and diarrhea. Other side effects include weight gain, decreased sex drive, and erectile function problems. Orgovix may cause infertility. Talk to your doctor if infertility is a concern for you.
Go with Orgovix. Ask your doctor. For more facts, visit gowiththefacts.com.
Hi, Drew Barrymore here. You've heard the saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Well, that's not true. I'll prove it. With Pluto TV, you can stream thousands of movies and TV shows for free, including my show, by the way. With Pluto TV, there is no catch. It's totally free. So the new saying is, if it's too good to be true, you're probably watching Pluto TV. Pluto TV, stream now, pay never.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
As a Walgreens pharmacist, I talk with people all the time about little tips and tricks for filling their Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of Walgreens 90-day refills to save them a trip, or using Refill by Scan, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, we got you, with low-cost copays on many medications.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here. Fill your way and save at walgreens.com/Medicare. See pharmacists for restrictions and exclusions.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know.
This isn't the olden days. Now, word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square, South Jersey, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in South Jersey you could reach online. Visit townsquarelocal.com and be the Town Square today. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at Jenkins & Sons. One call does it all. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, the plumbing guy. Just call 609-641-6262 for new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing and drain cleaning services, all that and more. Jenkins can repair or replace your water or sewer main. 609-641-6262 is the number, or check them out online at jenkinsandsons.com. All right, I promise I get to all these texts. We got a bunch of people who texted in. I want to get to all you guys. I love hearing from the listeners out there. Thank you for listening each day to 97.3 ESPN, the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. Game Night with yours truly, Josh Hennig. Get to the text. Paul in Millville texted in earlier, says, hey, Josh, is there any interest in you in the WWE Raw Anniversary show tonight in Philly with no Monday Night Football? Does it draw enough interest to tune in? You know, Paul, the problem for me is that I'm not as dialed into pro wrestling as I used to be. Some of the storylines started fading on me as sports started coming back. And, you know, during the pandemic, it was a great thing for me to track. I'm loosely still following here and there. You know, will I tune in? I might tune in. Will the general populace tune in? I have no idea. I'll be curious to see what the viewership is like tomorrow, because on a night like tonight, where there's no Sixers, no Flyers, so the only thing in our area is college basketball to watch on TV or WWE Raw. I think if you had to ask me about interest, though, I think my greater interest in pro wrestling at this point is attending a show, because I'm a big fan of going to a pro wrestling, but whether it's AEW, WWE, the things those athletes can do, and I call them athletes for a reason, is absolutely incredible. And there's nothing like being in the arena, watching them perform those acrobatics and those moves. It's one of the most mind-blowing things I've ever seen. Jay in Atlantic City chimes in and says, I think Josh Allen just has way too much on his shoulders. He's a beast, a top 10 quarterback without doubt, but he tries to do too much. You also need a legit running game in Buffalo. You can't keep finishing games to be number one runner. He's too big of a guy. He's going to turn into Carson Wentz, who was an MVP frontrunner at one point. But at least he's got Diggs. They need more around him. JDC, you're right. I do agree that the lack of the running game is a huge problem for Buffalo. They don't have a balanced offense. And I don't know whose responsibility that is per se. I don't know if that's McDermott saying, I want to play the game this way. I don't know if Josh Allen went to the coaching staff and said, hey, I can do this. I don't know if this is Ken Dorsey's pitch as the first-year coordinator saying, hey, I'm going to do something a little different than Dable did. I don't know what the reason for that is. But whoever's decision that was, the organization as a whole has got to do better around Josh Allen. You're right. And then Jay and AC also said Cowboys can hire and fire whoever they want until the Jones family takes their fingers off the team and daily operations. They need a culture overhaul. They're not America's team anymore. The problem is that the Jones family will always own the Cowboys. I read Gary Meyer's book about the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and his family. It's very obvious that the family as a whole is invested into that organization. Stephen Jones has done a very good job in terms of player personnel and drafting. And I think that the day that Jerry Jones is no longer the final shot caller and it's his son Stephen instead, I think the family might do a better job. I would contend that as long as Jerry is still involved and calling the shots, they will never win a championship. But maybe his son would do a better job, or maybe his son would hire a GM. I don't know exactly what the dynamics are with that. I don't know if the family, whenever Jerry Jones passed away, let's say 15 years from now, Jerry Jones is no longer with us, and Stephen Jones turns around and says, I don't want to do this personnel stuff anymore. I'm going to hire somebody to do it. Maybe then things change. Anthony Atlantic City says, if I'm the Bills, I'm calling Cliff Kingsbury immediately. Well, the problem is, Anthony Atlantic City, Cliff Kingsbury turned down all interviews, got a one-way ticket to Thailand, and disappeared. Yeah, that's right. Cliff Kingsbury, for those who didn't know, after he got fired by the Cardinals, got multiple calls from multiple teams asking about his interest. And he said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to disappear for a while. And you know what? The guy's being paid to go away. He got a contract extension after last season. Maybe there's a part of him that says, I need a break from football. Maybe I need to reevaluate things. I don't know what Cliff Kingsbury's... here's the problem really quick. When you watch Hard Knocks, it's hard to read people because it's hard to always determine what has been edited and what is the real person. But in the candid segments with Cliff Kingsbury, he genuinely seems like he does really love football. But I think there's still a part of him that says, hey, I've been doing this football thing for a long time. The guy's 43 years old. And I wonder that for somebody like him who played college football, tried to play in the NFL, immediately made the transition to coaching, maybe at 43 years old, he says, you know what? I want to go live life for a while. I need to unplug, walk away from football, and maybe that's why he's doing it this way. I don't know if that will benefit him or not, but I think that's what his thinking is. Jeff at Ocean State chimes in, Josh, did you see the pregame interview between Aaron Andrews and Dak? What was going on with that? No, I didn't, Jeff, because full disclosure, I didn't watch many pregame shows on Sunday because I was having a huge problem with my Comcast Xfinity service, which finally got apparently resolved today. I've been having an issue with, I literally had to figure out which apps I could use on my smart TV to log into my Xfinity, because apparently the Xfinity app is not available on certain OS systems, including the Android TV OS. So I'm having to use Paramount Plus for the CBS game, and I had to use the Fox Sports app login for Xfinity for the game on Fox. I've been told by Xfinity and Comcast they're giving me a bill credit, and they fixed everything. They actually replaced a bunch of hardware that basically it's their fault, not mine. If it was my fault, I could accept it. I can think, oh, I messed up. I did something wrong. But, you know how it is. You're paying out the wazoo for this stuff. So, no, I didn't get to see any of Aaron Andrews' conversation with Dak Prescott because that was the moment in time I was trying to figure out how to properly set up the Fox Sports app on the fly, and I made it just in time for kickoff. Jeff Noche says, thanks for the interceptions parlay. Winners again. Hey, Andy and I gave you 7 out of 8 winners on Friday's show. We'll try to replicate that later this week. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
We've all seen the commercials for probiotic yogurt to improve our digestive health. So what are probiotics and why do we need them? Our gut is filled with bacteria, most of it harmless, but things like medicine, stress, and diet can disturb the natural balance of this bacteria.